All right. Yeah, fine. So today, first we have started discussion about membership operators. So the first thing is these membership operators are used to check whether an element or a value or a member or a character is present inside a iterable or not. And also the next thing is always these membership operators will return boolean value as output, which means this will either return true or false as output. And we have seen that there are two membership operators in Python. They are in and not in. And this is the syntax. First, you need to mention the value which you want to check, after that membership operator, and after that you need to mention the iterable. So first let us discuss about this in membership operator. So this in membership operator will return true if the value is present inside the iterable. Otherwise it will return false. So as we are dealing with iterables here, first, I have declared a list with some random elements. Now, if I want to check whether the element 1 is present inside my LST or not, then I can use something like this. So first, this is my value which I want to check. So 1 is my value which I want to check whether it is present inside my list or not. After that, I need to use my membership operator. In this case, I am using in. So this in operator will return true if the value 1 is present inside list. Otherwise, it will return false. So we have seen this, and after that, I am mentioning my iterable, which is list. So as you can see here, one is present inside my list. If I run this program, you can see I got true as output. So this is how we can use membership operators. And while discussing about loops, we are going to use these membership operators a lot. So these are important operators in Python. This makes a lot of work easy. In other languages like Java and C, we don't have these membership operators. So learn these membership operators properly. These are simple, nothing complex here. So the first thing is these membership operators will return a boolean value and they are used to check whether an element is present inside an iterable or not. So there are two membership operators in and not in. So basically this in operator will return true if the value or the element is present inside iterable, or otherwise it will return false. Similarly, if I comment line number 13 and if I say 5 in list, now you can see here 5 is not present in my list, right? So if I run this program, I will get false as output. So that's the thing about this in membership operator. And as you can guess, this not in is exactly opposite to in membership operator. So this not in will return true if the member or value is not present in iterable. So that's it. This not in membership operator is exactly opposite to in membership operator. So now let me use the same list. So if I say print 5 not in LST, 5 is not present in my list, right? So if I run this 5 not in LST, I am going to get true as output. You can see here I got true as output. So basically, this is like reading English line, right? So I'm saying 5 not in list. So 5 is not present in list. Of course, I'm going to get output as true. If I say 5 in list, then you can see here 5 is not present in list. So if I say 5 in list, then I will get output as false. That's it. Similarly, if I say 1 not in list, let me comment out line number 18. You can see here 1 is present in my list. So if I say 1 not in list, and if I run this program, you can see here I will get false as output because 1 is present inside my list. So that's the thing about membership operators. We can use these membership operators on any iterable like tuples, sets, dictionaries. To check the presence of a key in a dictionary, we can use these membership operators. We can use these operators on strings. Let me show you how we can use this on strings. For that, 8 people are inviting them. Still, they are joining. Fine. So let me declare a string here like yes, and Python programming. So this string yes contains a word or a sentence Python programming. Right? If I say and we know that a string is a collection of characters, which means it is iterable. So if I say print P in yes, so as this P is a string, I need to enclose this within either single quotes or double quotes. Otherwise, I will get an error because P is a string here. If I run this, then you can say here I got output as true. So which means this character P is present inside my string Python programming. If I say Z in yes, of course I am going to get false as output because character Z is not present inside my string. So like this, we can use membership operators in Python. If I say Z not in S, I am going to get true as output because Z is not in my string S. You can see here this time I got true as output. So this is the thing about membership operators in Python. So I hope you all clearly understood this membership operators. Let me repeat the definition once again. They are used to check the presence of a value or element inside a iterable. So if the value or element is present inside a iterable means I will get output as true in case of in operator. If the value is not present, if the value or character is not present inside my iterable means I will get output as true in case of not in operator. So that's the thing about membership operators. Now let me close this file. Fine. Now let us continue our discussion with conditional statements. So here I am going to create a file called as conditional statements.py. So in Python, the conditional statements are if, elif, and else. So what are these? So basically these keywords, we can also call this as keywords. If, elif, else, they are also called as keywords. And also one more thing, we have discussed about variables, right? So I think on day 2, we have discussed about variables, yeah? Variables.py. I need to mention one more rule here. So we know that we are not allowed to use any kind of special characters except underscore in our variable names. And also we know that we cannot begin a variable name with a number. We should begin only with a character. We know this, fine. So one more rule is we cannot use keywords as variable names. What are these keywords now? We should remember this one more rule. We are not allowed to use keywords as variable names. So there are some reserved words in Python like if, elif, for, while, def. There are some reserved words in Python, and also we call them as keywords. So we are not allowed to use these keywords as variable names. For example, if you can see here, if I say I equal to 10, and if I print I, then I will get output without an error. You can say I got 10 as output because I is not a keyword. If I say if equal to 10 and if I try to print if, then you can see I will get an error. It says invalid syntax. So we are not allowed to use keywords as variable names because these keywords have a specific purpose to do in Python programming. We are not allowed to use them as variable names. So while declaring a variable, you should remember these three rules. I hope you all are clear with that now. So now let us see what are these conditional statements. If the condition is true, then the code present inside if log will get executed. So now if you already know Java, then don't confuse yourself with Java syntax here. The syntax of Python conditional statements is completely different. We don't use curly braces here. Instead, we use colon. So now let us see the syntax. The syntax is basically simple. First, we use if keyword. After that, we mention a condition here. And after that, we use colon. And below this, we will write some code here. So here, what will happen means if the condition present of after this if keyword, the condition which I am mentioning over here, if this condition is true means then the code present inside this if block will get executed. Otherwise, it won't get executed. So let me show you. So if I say if 10 is greater than 5, so this is a condition, right? 10 is greater than 5. This is a condition. So here we are going to use comparison operators. Greater than is a comparison operator. And we know that these comparison operators will return Boolean value as output, which means it will return either true or false as output. We have discussed this and we all know this now. So if I use a condition here, then this condition will return me either true or false. So if the condition over here is returning true as output means the code present inside my if block will be executed. If the condition present over here is returning false as output means the code present inside this if block will not get executed. So if I say 10 is greater than 5, then print condition is correct. Now you can see here, I have mentioned a colon, and after colon, if I hit enter, then automatically my VS Code will allocate four spaces or one tab space. So we call this as indentation space. So in case of Java or C, we use curly braces, right? In case of Python, we don't use curly braces here. Instead, we use this colon. And after using this colon, if I hit enter, then automatically my VS Code will allot four empty spaces for me. So these empty spaces are called as indentation space. In case if I am not giving indentation space after if statement means if I run this program, then you can see here I got an indentation error. So basically it says expected an indent block after if. So according to the syntax of Python, it is mandatory to allocate indentation space after a if statement, after if condition, not only after if, after elif, after else. So in case if we are using this colon means if this colon is present in our syntax means in the below line, it is mandatory to allocate indentation space. Now basically you don't have to worry about that. Automatically if you hit enter, then your VS Code will automatically give four spaces or a single tab space. In case if you are using Notepad or some other old code editors, there you need to make sure that you are giving spaces here. You are giving indentation space here. So the space which is present before this print function is called as indentation space. You need to remember this. And according to the syntax of Python, after conditions, after colon, we need to make sure that we are providing indentation space. Now, if I run this code, then you can see here I got output as condition is correct. So here basically 10 is greater than 5. This condition is correct, right? So this 10 is greater than 5 will return true. If this condition is returning true means the code present inside my if block will be executed. So what is the code present inside my if block? Print condition is true. So this code is present in my if block and this print function is getting executed and I got output for that print function. Not only the single line, we can use multiple lines here. Like I can say condition is to print if block is getting executed. I can also say success, something like this. So my point is, it is not mandatory to use a single line here. We can use multiple lines. So all these lines, in case if these lines are having indentation spaces means they will come under this if block. So here you can see for line number 11, 12, 13, I am giving indentation spaces here. So if I am giving indentation space means then these lines will come under my if block. Now these three lines belongs to my if block. If the condition over here is true means then only these three lines will get executed. Otherwise these three lines will not get executed. Let me change the condition here. If I say 10 is greater than 14 and after this if block, now you can see here I am not giving any indentation space here. So this print statement or the print function present at line number 15 does not belong to my if block now because I am not giving indentation space. If I am giving indentation space, then only it will belong to my if block. Otherwise, it will not belong to my if block. So if in at line number 15, if I say program executed something like this, and if I run this program now, then you can see here I got output as only program executed. So what is happening here? The condition over here is false. 10 is not greater than 15. So this condition will return me false as output. So as the condition is becoming false here, the code present inside my if block will not get executed. So these three lines will basically get skipped. And whatever the lines present after the if block from line number 14. So from line number 14, my program execution will begin. So as the condition over here is failing, so line number 11, 12, and 13 won't get executed because these three lines belong to my if block. These three lines will get executed only if the condition over here is true. If I change this to 5 again, now this condition is true, right? Now I will get four lines in my output. First, I will get output as condition is correct, if block is getting executed, success, and finally after that, I will get output as program executed. You can see here I got four lines as output. So if the condition is correct means the code present inside my if block will get executed and after that the rest of the program will continue execution. It's not like if the condition is correct, these three lines will execute and the program will end. It is not like that. If the condition is true means of course these three lines will get executed. After completion of execution of code present inside my if block, the rest of program will continue. The execution of my rest of program will continue. So that's the thing about if condition. And we know that if the condition is false means these three lines will not get executed. So fine. Now let us discuss this with some real time example, something like this. So if I say, so now we know that we are allowed to get a driving license or we are eligible to vote if our age is greater than 18, right? So checking the eligibility to vote. Now, instead of let me declare a variable called age here and let me give value to instead of giving directly value here, let us take input from the user. So input enter age. We know how to use this input function, right? We have discussed about this in our previous classes. And also we have seen that this input function will by default take string as input. So fine. This input function will take input by default in string format. If I enter age as a 10 or 18 or 25, then that number will be taken as string because by default this input function will take string as input. So yesterday we have discussed about typecasting, right? We know how to convert an uh, string to integer. So we need to use int function like this. After that we need to mention parentheses. And like this I can convert my string to input. So this input function will take input from the user in string format. And after taking that input, I am converting that string into integer using this int function. Yesterday we have clearly discussed about this int function. We have discussed about typecasting, right? So now here I am performing typecasting. The input which I am taking from the user, it is in string format. So I am converting that string input into integer using this int function. You can do this in two lines also. You can do this something like this. If I can say like this also int of age. So they both are same now. Instead of doing this in two lines, I can do this in single line. So like this. I hope you understood line number 16. I am taking inputs from user and I am converting that input into integer because by default my input function in Python will take string as input. All right. Now I need to check if the age is greater than 18 or not. So I can use something condition like this, right? So I am just saying here age is greater than 18. In case if user enters 20, then 20 is greater than 18. It is true. Then the code present inside my if block will get executed. If user is entering 10, then 10 is not greater than 18, right? So my condition will become false and the code present inside my if block will not get executed. Now inside this if block, I am using a print statement and also you need to make sure that you are giving indentation space here. Otherwise, you will get a syntax error because that's how the syntax of our Python programming language works. I can say you are eligible to vote. Now, if the age entered by the user is greater than 18 means this line will get executed. Otherwise, this line will not get executed. So if I run this program, then you can see here it is asking me age now. If I enter 10, then you can see here I just got output as program executed. That's it. I am not getting output as you are eligible to vote because my age is not greater than 18. If I run this program once again, and if I enter 25 now, you can see here I got output as you are eligible to vote, and after that I got output as program executed. So this is how you can use Python programming language to check whether a person is eligible to vote or not. Now you might be having doubt. In case if the person's age is not greater than 18, then if you want to display output as you are not eligible to vote, then what can you do? So for that we are going to use else here. So I can say here like this, you are not eligible to vote. If I say like this, if I run this program, then if I enter 10 as input, it's fine. I am getting output as you are not eligible to vote. Yes, if my age is 10, then I am not eligible to vote. But in case if my age is greater than 18, in case if my age is 20 now, then you can see here I got output as you are eligible to vote, and after that again I got output as you are not eligible to vote. So what is happening here? So if I enter my age as 20, then basically this condition is becoming true, and the code present inside my if block is getting executed. And after that, like Python, like always, the rest of the program is getting executed. So what is the rest of program? From line number 19, the rest of the program will begin execution. So I will get output for this print function. So basically on my output screen, I will get this sentence also. You are not eligible to vote as output. So I can do like this. So for this, we are going to use else here. So now let us discuss the syntax of if else. If the condition is true, the syntax the definition of if is same. If the condition is true, then the code present inside my if block will get executed. Otherwise, the code present in my else block will get executed. Now syntax is if condition colon after that indentation space and code. After that again, if we have multiple lines inside if block, then we can use multiple lines of code also. We are allowed to do that. And after completion of if block, we need to use else keyword here. And inside this else block, we will write some code. So basically here, according to the definition, if the condition present after my if keyword is true means the code present inside my if block will get executed. And the code present inside my else block will not get executed. In case if the condition present after my if keyword is becoming false means then the code present inside my if block will not get executed. Instead, the code present inside my else block will get executed. After completion of this execution of if else, then the rest of the program will continue. So let me show you. Again, we are going to use the same example. I am taking age as input from user, and let me comment out from line number 17 to 20. I am taking age as input from user, and if the value of age, if the age entered by the user is greater than 18 means I am going to print you are eligible to vote. Now, according to the syntax, after completion of code present inside my if block, I need to use else block here. So else print you are not eligible to vote. And after that, finally, I am going to print as program executed. Now, what is happening here? So first user is going to enter his age. If his age is greater than 18 means I am going to get output as print you are eligible to vote. Because if the condition after if keyword becomes true means the code present inside my if block will get executed. In case if the condition is failing here means then the code present inside my else block will get executed. Now after completion of execution of this if else blocks, the rest of the program will begin to execute. So what will happen if the rest of the program begins to execute means I am going to get output as program executed. So in case if the condition is true or false, doesn't matter, I will get output as program executed. Because this line program executed, this print function is not present inside my if or else block. It does not belong to either my if block or my else block. It is outside my if else blocks. So this line, this print function will get executed always. It has nothing to do with the condition over here. So if I run this program and now if I enter my age as 14, then you can see here this time I got output as you are not eligible to vote and I got output as program executed. What is happening here? 14 is not greater than 18. So the code present inside my if block will not get executed and instead the code present inside my else block will get executed. So I got output as you are not eligible to vote. Now after completion of execution of this if else blocks, I got output as program executed. That's it. If I run this program once again and this time if I enter age as 23, then you can see here this time I got output as you are eligible to vote and again I got output as program executed. So if the condition is if the condition over here is becoming true means the else block will not get executed. You need to remember that. If the condition over here is failing means if the condition over here is returning false means then only the code present inside my else block will get executed. So this is how you can check the eligibility of a person to vote. So we can use this if else blocks here. And one more thing which you should remember is in case after my if block I am saying something like this. So I know that after my if condition, I need to use four empty spaces. They are called as indentation space, and that's the syntax of Python. And after completion of this if block, if a else is present means then before else, I am not allowed to use something like this. You can see here I am not giving any indentation space here. So if I run this program, I will get error as output because right after if block, the else block should present. So in between this if block and else block, there should not be any other code. If I mention a print statement like this, or else if I declare a variable something like this, then I will get an error because the point is right after if block, the else block should present. There should not be any other lines of code in between my if and else block. So according to syntax, I need to make sure that after completion of if block, the else block is present. If I'm not using else means, you can see here I haven't used else block. So it's okay. If I am using else block means, then I need to make sure that there is no other code present inside my if block and else block. After completion of if block, I need to start else block immediately. And once again, it is not mandatory to use a single line of code inside else block. Similar to if block, I can also use multiple lines of code inside my else block, something like this. So it is not mandatory to use single line of code. So this is the thing about if-else statements in Python. They are called as conditional statements. Why? Because they are testing or checking a condition. So if the condition is true means some part of the program is getting executed. If the condition is false means the other part of the program, some other code is getting executed. So that's the thing about if else statements in Python. So let me comment out these lines. And now I am having one more requirement. Basically, if I want to check more than one conditions, here I can check only one condition, right? I can check whether age is greater than 18 or not. That's it. I can check more than one condition in case of if and else. Now, in case if I want to check more than one conditions, then what can I do? So here I can use a keyword called elif. In case of Java or C, we call it as else if. In case of Python, we call it elif. So elif is short form of else if. So if you are from Java background, then you might have used else if. Here, if we don't use else if, according to the syntax of Python, we use elif here. So that's the thing which you should remember if you are from Java background. And if you don't know Java, it's fine. Just learn Python as of now. So for syntax is So first the definition is we can use elif if we want to check more than one condition. The syntax is simple. First, if keyword. So if I am using elif means I need to make sure that I am also using if. Without if I am not allowed to use elif. Remember that. So if condition code and after before using else. So after if we can use else, right? We know this. We know this. But we are going to use these elif conditions in between my if and else blocks. So I am allowed to use this elif condition here, but I am not allowed to use some random code like declaring a variable or printing a statement. I am not allowed to use that. I can use elif. And the syntax is something like this condition. After elif, we are going to check one more condition, and if the condition is true, means the code present inside my elif block will get executed. Not only one elif, we can use multiple elif. We can use multiple elif here. So basically, elif means else if. So according to the syntax, if the condition after if keyword is true means, then the code present inside my if block will get executed and the rest of the code will not get executed. So these elif conditions are not going to execute and also the code present inside my else block will not get executed. So instead of executing all these conditions, my Python interpreter will continue with the rest of the program. So after else block, whatever the code is present, that code will get executed. If the condition of if the condition present after my if keyword is true. In case if the condition is failing means, which means if the condition is returning false means, then of course the code present inside my if condition will not get executed. Instead, it will check for the next condition which is present after my elif keyword. So if the condition after if keyword is false means, it will check for the next condition which is present after my elif keyword. So if the second condition which is present after elif keyword is true means, the code present inside this elif block will get executed. That's it. Now the rest of the program will not execute. I mean the rest of the elif blocks and the rest of the elif blocks and the else block will not get executed. Now my Python interpreter will continue with the rest of the program which is present after line number 55. So similarly, in case if the second condition is also failing, means it will check for third condition. If this is also failing, means it will check for fourth condition. Again, it will check for fifth condition. If this condition is true, means the code present inside my fifth elif block will get executed. If it is false, means again it will check for the next condition. Again, if it is false, means finally the code present inside my else block will get executed. So basically here, if all conditions are failing, means from if to last elif, then the code present inside my lost else block will get executed. And after completion of execution of code present inside my else block, my Python will continue the execution the rest of the program. So the Python will continue the execution of rest of the program, which means the code which is present after else block will get executed. So now check this. So here the best example I can take is I can take student's grade. If the student mark is greater than 90 means yes grade, A grade, greater than 80 means B grade. I can do something like that. So fine. Let me take marks as input. Now user is going from user. I am going to take the input, and this time I am going to say as enter marks. Enter your marks in Python. You can see here I am taking input from the user, and if the user is going to enter an input as number means, by default my input function will take that input in string format. I don't want my input in string format. I want that in integer format. So I am performing typecasting here. That's it. So the first thing is let me comment out this age because if I run this program, then it will ask me for age also. So the first condition is if my marks are greater than 90 means I am going to print like you got A grade. Now I need to check for more than one condition, right? So here I can say simply like this: else print you are failed. I can say like this. So basically, if the marks are less than 40 minutes, then only I can say you are failed. Otherwise, I need to give some grades here. So I need more than one condition. I want to check more than one condition over here. So for this, I am going to use elif here. So the syntax is something like this. Right after if block and before else block, I need to mention my elif block. So my second condition is if the marks are greater than 80 means then I am going to print you got B grade. If the marks are greater than 70 means I am going to print you got C grade. If the marks are greater than 50 means I am going to print you got D grade. Otherwise, if the marks are greater than 40 means I am going to print you got D grade. If the marks are greater than 60 means I am going to print C grade. 75 means I am going to print D grade. So now here, if a user will going to enter some marks, if his marks are greater than 90 means if his marks are from 91 to 100, then I am going to print you got a grade. And finally, I am going to print as program executed. So basically, it is not mandatory to write this print function here like program executed. I just want to show you that after completion of this if conditions, this final line is will going to execute. So after completion of my else block, whatever the code is present, that code will get executed. So I just want to show you that. So that's why I am using this print statement here or print function. So basically in Python 2.x versions like Python 2.1, 2.2, 2.3 version, we call it as a print statement because there print is not a function. From Python 3.x versions, which are Python 3.2, 3.4, 3.7 like that, in those versions we call print as they made print as a function. So that's why sometimes I am saying as print statement, sometimes I am saying as print function. So we are using Python 3.11.4, right? So here Python print is a function, not a statement. And also I recommend you not to use Python 2.x versions because they are completely outdated. Make sure that you are using versions above, greater than Python 3.7. That will be better. So now let us trace out our program. So if the user is going to enter 45 as input means what will happen? So 45 is not greater than 90. So the code present inside my if block will not get executed. And also 45 is not greater than 75. So the code present inside my first elif block will also won't get executed. So 45 is not greater than 60. So the code present inside my second elif block will also won't get executed. So 45 is greater than 40. So now the code present inside my third elif block will get executed. So I will get output as you got D grade. And my Python interpreter will continue the execution of rest of my program. As one condition is becoming true here, the else block will not get executed. In case if I enter 30 as input, then all the conditions over here will fail, right? Now, finally, the code present inside my else block will get executed. I will get output as you are failed if I enter input as 30. And after completion of execution of this else block, my Python interpreter will continue the execution of rest of the program. So there's no if fine. So now if I run this program, you can see here it is asking me enter your marks in Python. If I enter 95 as input, then you can see here I got output as you got A grade because 95 is greater than 90. So the code present inside my if block will get executed and my Python interpreter will ignore all these elif blocks and else block. And after completion, finally, the rest of the program will get executed. So what is the rest of the program? In line number 70, I am having program executed inside my print function. So this print function will get executed. Similarly, if I run this program once again, and this time if I enter input as 85, you can see here I got output as you got B grade because 85 is greater than 75, right? 85 is not greater than 90. So the if block won't get executed. The second condition is 85 greater than 75. 85 is greater than 75, right? So I will get true for this second, for this first elif condition. So the code present inside my first elif block will get executed, and after this, the rest of the elif blocks won't get executed, and also the else block will not get executed. And finally, I will get output as program executed. Similarly, this time, if I enter input as 30, so you can see here this time I got output as you are failed, and finally I got output as program executed. So what is happening here? 30, so no, all the conditions which I mentioned over here are not passing. So all these conditions are going to return false as output because 30 is not greater than 90, not greater than 75, not greater than 60, and not greater than 40. So all the conditions are failing. So the code present inside my else block will get executed. So I will get output as you are failed. And finally, the rest of the program will begin execution. So I got output as program executed. So this is the thing about conditional statements in Python. If you want to check more than one condition, we will use elif blocks in between if and else block, and also make sure that in between these elif blocks, we are not allowed to use any print statements like this. We need to make sure that we are giving indentation spaces here. We should give indentation spaces here. Now you can see this elif is turned into some red line is showing. My VS Code is showing some red line here. It says syntax error. So before execution of program itself, VS Code will check for errors. So that's another benefit or feature in VS Code. So I hope you all clearly understood how this if-else conditioning works in Python. So this is the syntax which you should follow. I hope you all are clear with this topic. If you have any doubts, now I am enabling the chat section. You can send messages. Tomorrow we will discuss about nested if. Apart from nested if you have any doubts in today's class, you can ask me. So fine, I will answer to these questions now. So tomorrow we are going to discuss about nested if and difference between Nagaraj is asking difference between if, elif, and else. That's what I told so far. There's nothing like difference. They are keywords. So if the condition after if is true means the code present inside if block will get executed. If the condition is failing means the next elif where the Python interpreter will check the second condition which is present after elif keyword. Similarly, it will continue. That's what I explained so far. 76 greater than 75 and 60 also. So Sekhar is asking a question. That's a good question actually. So if I run this program once again, in case if I enter input as 55, now you can see, or if I enter output as 85. So 85 is greater than 75 and 85 is greater than 60 and 85 is greater than 40, right? But the point here is, I already told you this, if the condition present at the first, if the first elif condition is becoming true means, then the code present inside that elif block will get executed and our Python interpreter will ignore the remaining elif blocks and else block. Now, after completion of execution of code present inside my specific elif block, my Python interpreter will continue execution of rest of the program. So here you can see if I enter input as 85 means, so here the first elif condition is becoming true, which is 85 is greater than 75. So now the code present inside my if block will get executed, and after that it is not going to execute the remaining elif blocks. So in case if one elif condition is becoming true means, the code present inside that will get executed. That's it. The our Python interpreter will by default ignore the remaining elif blocks and else block. Similarly, if the condition after if itself is becoming true means, so the if the first condition itself is becoming true means, the code present inside my if block will get executed and my Python interpreter will ignore the remaining elif conditions and else block. And after and it will execute whatever the code which is present after else block. So what is present after else block? Program executor, right? So if I enter input as 85, it is going to say me you got B grade and it will ignore the remaining elif conditions. And finally, I will get output as program executed because this program executor is not, this program executed line, this line does not belong to any blocks. This line, this print function which is at line number 70 does not belong to else block. So this line will get executed. Why this line does not belong to else block? Because I am not giving any indentation space here. If I give any indentation space here, then it will belong to my else block. As I am not giving any indentation space, this will not belong to my else block or remaining elif blocks. So I hope you understood. Can we use membership operators on dictionary? So Kavya, you can check that. So if I declare a dictionary here, say one, I, two, hello. So this is a dictionary, right? If I say print one in D, so I am checking whether this key is present inside the dictionary or not. If I run this, you can see here I got output as 2 because the one key is present inside my dictionary. So basically, I can use this to check for keys. If I say hi in D, if I run this, you can see here I got output as false because hi is a value, it is not a key. If we are checking for values, then it won't work. So we can check for keys. So 2 is a key here. If I say 2 in D, I will get output as 2 because 2 is a key and the 2 key is present inside my dictionary. So of course we can use membership operators on dictionaries, but we can only check the presence of keys. We can check for values. If the key is present means I will get output as true. If the key is not present means I will get output as false in case of my in membership operator. How to add? Nitin Kumar is asking how to add 2 to 3 subject in this question. But if you have 3 marks like this, M1 equal to 20, M2 equal to 18, and M3 equal to 15, I can add like this. So final marks equal to M1 plus M2 plus M3, and I can print final marks here. So if I run this program, I am going to enter 100 as input. So you can see here I got output as 53, which means 20 plus 18 plus 15 is equal to 53. So if you want to add multiple variables, you can add. It is completely allowed. It's not like you can perform arithmetic operation on 2 variables. We can perform arithmetic operations on multiple variables also. It is completely allowed. Okay, Lakshmi, Sujit is asking, if you read multiple times, if then what happened? So Sujit, here, let me comment out these lines. So instead of elif, if I use if means, so see what will happen now. Instead of elif, if I use if means, if I run this program, now someone asked me this doubt, right? Sekhar asked me 76 is greater than 75 and 60 also. So if I run this program, if I run this program now, you can see here I am not using elif here. Instead of elif, I am using if conditions here. Only if conditions I am using. So in case here, if I enter 55 as input, and before showing the output, let me explain what will happen. So no, I am going to enter 95 as input. So 95 is greater than 90, right? So the code present inside this if block will get executed. 95 is greater than 75. So again, I will get output as you got B grade. So 95 is greater than 60. So again, I will get output as you got C grade. So again, 95 is greater than 40. So I will get output as you got D grade. And finally, the code present inside my else block will get executed. So here the point is, if I am using only if conditions, then after completion of this if block, my Python interpreter will check is there any else block or elif block present. So if they are not present means it will going to continue the execution of remaining if conditions. That's it. So if I hit enter, you can see here I got output as you got A grade, you got B grade, you got C grade, you got D grade, and finally I got output as program executed. So this will happen if you are not using elif. Instead of elif, if you are using multiple if conditions, then my Python interpreter will check the condition present after each and every if keyword. So first it will check for marks greater than 90, it will check for marks greater than 75. But instead, if I use elif, now my Python interpreter will check only if any one condition is becoming true means then my Python interpreter will not execute the remaining blocks. Instead, it will continue whatever the code which is present after else block. So in case if I enter 95 means 95 is greater than 90. So the first condition itself is becoming true here. So the code present inside my if block which is you got A grade will get executed and these remaining blocks, remaining elif blocks and else block will not get executed. So that's the difference between using multiple ifs and using elif. And explain what for operator. For is not an operator in Python. For is a loop. We are going to discuss about loops in upcoming classes, not now. Pushparaj is asking me to explain split concept. Split, we have discussed it in string functions, right? You can check out the recorded session because if I explain the split concept again means remaining people will feel discomfortable. So Priya is asking, what if you give input as 40? Let us check out. So if I give input as 40, so what will happen means 40 is not greater than 40. 40 is equal to 40, but it is not greater than 40. So about here I am using only greater than symbol. If I am using greater than or equal to operator like this means, then I will get output as you got 3 grade. If I use only greater than operator means 40 is not greater than 40. So the condition over here fails. So the I will get output as you are failed. Enter 40 means I will get output as you are failed. If I use the greater than or equal to operator means no 40 is equal to 40, right? So I will get output as you got D grade. And see here, this time I got output as you got D grade. I have enabled the chat section once again. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Tomorrow we are going to discuss about nested if. And the interesting thing is we can use another set of if and else condition inside a else block also. So tomorrow let us discuss about all those things clearly. So basically nested if means a if condition inside another if condition. So tomorrow we will discuss about all those things clearly. So about running nodes, Kalani, you can check out the recorded session also now. If I am saying slowly means some students will get bored. Any other example of if else? In our upcoming classes, let us discuss about a lot of examples. There are a lot of examples like you can check the eligibility for driving license. Same example only. If the age is greater than 18, you are eligible to get a driving license. Otherwise, you are not eligible to get driving license. Fine, I will try to explain little bit slowly from today onwards. Sir, we can use break statement. Why are you worried about break statement? Break is not a statement, first of all. It's a keyword. We will discuss about this break, continue and pause while discussing about loops, not now. We can't use break keywords inside if blocks. We use that in loops. So if you have any other doubts, now you can ask me regarding this if, elif, and else conditions. So tomorrow we are going to discuss about nested if and all those things. And after that, okay. So all are saying clear, sir. Thank you. Okay. So like always, I am going to share the code in GitHub link, and also I'm going to send a feedback link. You can submit your feedback, and from tomorrow onwards, Let us continue with nested if conditions. Okay, fine. Vishnu, we will discuss about those things in upcoming classes. So I will stop the recording now.